Can you imagine yourself waking up every day with a sense of purpose, clear on your assignment for the day, feeling like you are divinely aligned and empowered? What would it feel like to make progress every day toward your dreams, to live your life in continuous momentum? Well, it begins with one simple question. Before I share that question, I gotta say that many people are content living their lives restricted to the boundaries that other people set for them. They enjoy structure. They don't want to think too much for themselves. They don't allow themselves to believe their desires can actually come to pass. Well, this video is not for them. This video is for you who had decided to unsubscribe from limitations. You felt trapped by the expectations of others. You pulled and tugged at the leash, holding you to the same old monotonous routines and lifestyles that were never meant for you. You've likely already snapped the leash. You've realized that the entire world is yours to explore. Maybe you've run around for a season basking in your newfound freedom. And now your heart is calling you to focus, to discover the impact that you alone can make in this world, and to make real progress toward the desires that have been placed within you. With the whole world available to you, completely unleashed, it can feel overwhelming. What do I do next? How do I know if I'm moving in the right direction? How do I bring focus without releashing myself to a life that I don't enjoy? This is exactly where I was in the fall of 2018, sitting on the small balcony outside of our 2-bedroom apartment overlooking the apartment's community pool. Eileen, my wife, and I had moved to Houston, Texas with our 3 children over a year ago at this point, and we knew we were being called into a new adventure. But we exited our previous life with very few details and no real plan. We left behind 18 years of ministry, serving a wonderful church community in Washington, D.C., that we realized could no longer support us in this new adventure. I'm assuming you're watching this video because you may be in a similar place. Maybe you're like my daughter, who, as I'm recording this, just left home to pursue her dreams in New York City. Maybe you're just graduating from high school or college and stepping into a new season with less structure. Maybe you're contemplating some major changes to your business or career and you want to nail it. You want to be happy with the life you create for yourself and feel the satisfaction of making progress toward your dreams. For me, it felt like I'd been sitting on that balcony for the entire year contemplating my next move, staring off into space, just rolling it over and over in my mind, all the opportunities that were around me. It wasn't that there was no opportunity. I had a master's in business administration, significant executive leadership experience, a couple of offers to run nonprofits or join pastoral teams. At any moment, I could have put my head down and landed a job or built my own ministry or business. The problem was, knowing I could do anything, would I make a move that I regret? Would I commit myself to a path where I would feel stuck for another decade, not making progress toward my desires? And after almost 20 years of serving another person's dream, did I really even know what my own desires were? Perhaps you can relate. Have you ever felt paralyzed with options, keenly aware that whatever you decide, you're the person who's going to have to live with it? Well, this is the burden of the unleashed life. You know that if you aren't happy with your life, it's your own fault. So listen, I could feel Eileen's frustration growing from behind the doors of the balcony. The small apartment was supposed to be a temporary solution. The savings was dwindling, the bills were piling up. She and the kids began wondering if this was going to be our permanent lot in life. So I began searching for a framework to help me with these important decisions. I first turned to frameworks that had helped me in the past, like Stephen Covey's 7 Habits and Start With Why by Simon Sinek. These frameworks proved really useful for seasons when I was already clear on my vision and part of an organization with defined values and constraints to work within. But I needed something that could help me take the blank slate in front of me and speak with authority, piercing through the confusion and help me see who I am and what I'm called to do and how I could find fulfillment in life. I needed spiritual guidance as part of my framework. So I turned to Rick Warren's The Purpose-Driven Life and Michael Singer's The Untethered Soul. but I couldn't find actionable links between my spiritual identity and purpose and practical decisions like, should I take a job? Should I start this business? What is my next step? I did the personality tests. I learned more about my strengths and motivators. I made a vision board. I bored my wife to tears talking about things that I like and didn't like about my previous roles and responsibilities. And at the end of it all, I felt as confused as when I started. Have you ever exhausted yourself desperately looking for a solution to your problem and just felt so misunderstood? Like, why isn't there someone with a solution to my problem? Well, certainly someone has felt what I'm feeling and developed a framework to help. But what I saw was that so many solutions were just Band-Aids. They could provide temporary clarity, temporary motivation, enough to keep people busy, but not really enough to get to the heart of the matter. One day on the balcony, I reflected back to our decision to move to Houston. Houston had been a really good move for our family. Joel Osteen's Lakewood Church provided us with encouragement and much needed mindset makeover. Our children were finding great opportunities and connections. We found some friendships that continued to be very valuable to us. I hadn't found out what I was supposed to be doing yet, but the move itself was a good move. And I thought about what led to the decision to come to Houston versus all the places we could have gone. There weren't a lot of practical reasons. We didn't have a family there. We only had one friend there. You already know that we didn't have a job lined up. There weren't really any spiritual reasons either. Like we didn't feel called. God didn't speak to us about it in a dream. No, as I thought about it, we moved to Houston because of a conversation that Eileen had with a great pastor from Winnipeg by the name of Leon Fontaine. Now, he's since passed away, and I feel so honored that he gifted us with one question before he left this earth. He pulled Eileen aside in an event and asked her, Eileen, if you could live anywhere you want, where would you want to live? Now, Eileen was caught off guard. Not once in our pastoral training had anyone ever asked us, what do you want? It seemed like such a selfish question, but the idea provoked Eileen. So Eileen did her best to answer his question and then came home and asked me the same thing. Harrison, if we could live anywhere, where would we want to live? Now, at first, we cut the options in half by concluding that we wanted to live someplace that's warm year-round. We realized we also wanted to be part of a church community that would encourage us to pursue our dreams and would provide great ministry for our children. Before you know it, we had concluded that if it were up to us, we'd be living in Houston, Texas, attending Lakewood Church. Now, how do you feel about that question? What do you want? Does it strike you as rather simplistic, selfish, unspiritual? That's how I felt as I reflected back on that conversation and what became our decision to move to Houston. Yet I couldn't deny that one simple question had led us to a great situation for our family. So despite my discomfort with the idea, I decided to lean into it. Sitting on the balcony, asking myself, what do I want? What do I desire? As it turns out, this one selfish question became the catalyst for Eileen and I to impact thousands of people through our business, to change the financial trajectory for our family, and to experience more fulfillment than we thought was possible. It has become the foundation of the framework for how our family makes decisions. It is the first step for achieving anything you want. And as you'll soon discover, the question is actually quite spiritual. The word desire can be broken up into two Latin roots, de, and sire. Well, sire means father, like to sire a child, and de means from. So the word desire actually means from the Father. When you ask yourself the question, what do I desire? It's the same thing as asking, what has the Father put in me? This is the mechanism by which God brings about His will for all mankind. He works through our desires. Can you imagine yourself waking up every day with a sense of purpose, clear on your assignment for the day, feeling like you are divinely aligned and empowered? What would it feel like to make progress every day toward your dreams, to live your life in continuous momentum? It begins with a simple question. What has the Father put in me? What do I desire? This is the foundation of the unleashed life. I hope this episode has been a benefit to you. If so, make sure to like and subscribe so you get more videos just like this one to help you in your success journey. Have a great week, and I'll see you in the next episode. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. You know, great businesses and great leaders are built using effective communication. For more, go to speakingschool.com, grab my Elite Business Success Toolkit for free just for trying out our Speaking School membership. That's speakingschool.com. See you next time.